Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SB Reacts where today we have ourselves an album, tracks 7 to 12 of an album from an act named Killah Threat titled Age of Aquarius. And if we switch over to here, this album, I have checked out songs 1 through 6 as this in a previous review. You can check that out, links in the description. But now we're going to be listening through another set of 6, 7 to 12. So we're going to listen through these tracks from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. And so track number 7, Sad But True, with Killah Threat and Guiliani. The harmonies with those chops are great. Great pulse with the strings.
They wonder how I feel when shit get real. I just keep my chill. Sad but true. Do what I got. The only option is the progress. Watch for snakes, they will get you killed. Sad but true. It get ill, a real east side feel. You're not wrong, my cologne you smell. Sad but true. Mers, nigga, I wish you did well, even though all the hate won't prevail. Sad but true. Sad but true.
Great to have some cleans in there.
Wow. Sad but true. Sad but true.
Honestly, the apologies, you can hold them. You wasn't sorry with the maneuvers you showed them. You sat and played in his face, now that's a damn shame. You operate in disgrace, but it's a cold game. Cause it's a cold world, life ain't fair. Your homie better check on old girl, man, I swear. Cause since he is incarcerated from an anonymous tip-off, from him letting the clip off, to mark a heavenly lift-off. The send-off is from a spin-off of disgruntled women that want protection but act aggressive and sour as lemons. Because the homie grinded 24/7, working his skin off. He came home and you mad disrespectful, smacking his chin off. The neighbors hear the arguments and kids crying, so they intervene asking questions and old girl lying. So now they both wanna be tough guys. Now hammers and sparks fly. Now they blow dry from the bullets that they were touched by.
Real. They wonder how I feel when shit get real. I just keep my chill. Sad but true. Do what I got. The only option is the progress. Watch for snakes, they will get you killed. Sad but true. It get ill, a real east side feel. You're not wrong, my cologne you smell. Sad but true. Mers, nigga, I wish you did well, even though all the hate won't prevail. Sad but true. Shit, I'm glad you knew. Been to college, yeah, I did, then I left the school. It's cool. F fast for them niggas, they can have it. And to put all of my drugs in a basket. That's what I had to do. Be organized with the vibes, don't be irrational. I got a classic crew, yeah, you had to know. It's beats to, in other words, do what you have to do. Then regroup us.
That double tracking there, I just appreciate that switch up in the delivery of that. It stands up, splits it neatly in half between stanzas.
Kid who will leave the stoop and often too. Yeah, that's what I often do. Awful time, you done lost your mind. Well, it's just the opposite, fool. I'm learning. The wheels turning as I whip this coupe. I'm swerving. Still learning as I do my do.
Great use of follow there.
It was high speed pursuit. That's what happened when you overwhoop. The disloyalty real out. They wonder how I feel when shit get real. I just keep my chill. Sad but true. Do what I got. The only option is the progress. Watch for snakes, they will get you killed. Sad but true. It get ill, a real east side feel. You're not wrong, my cologne you smell. Sad but true. Mers, nigga, I wish you did well, even though all the hate won't prevail. Sad but true.
Oh, we're allowing the backing to continue here without anything on top. I mean, I like it. Great combination of keys, strings, bass, and drums.
St. Louis County Police reported shootings in Jeddah on Saturday. We're told the domestic dispute between two men escalated to one of them firing a shot at the other. The shooting was reported around 8 o'clock last night in the 2400 block. Police said the victim's injuries were minor and not considered life-threatening.
It's a completely different feel when you take away the push of the percussion.
Hey, don't push me away and then start acting like I'm the villain and I just left you alone. Delusional, manipulating bitch. You caused all this shit. I ain't do nothing.
So that was sad but true. I think basically what this track is about is the fact that you've really just got to kind of roll with the punches, but also be careful about those around you, that even if you have good intentions or even if you try to do everything you can to stay out of trouble, you could just end up shot. I think there was also parts that were spoken about women that they are with, and they want protection, but if I'm not mistaken, they also got aggressive and would like lash out physically, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just an interesting situation now. It's a complicated topic that I feel was handled with a sense of maturity and eloquence, and I appreciate that. I think one of the things I appreciate about this was the flow of it. It's not just that we rapped well, and these are similar comments that I made in the previous album review, again, link in description, but it's just the fact that we were also confident and competent on the microphone in regards to our delivery of the words, like the actual clarity, the pronunciation, the parts. We weren't trying to rush through, we weren't stumbling through it. We were well contained, and we expressed ourselves in a way which made sense with the song. You know, it was almost sort of melancholic to an extent. It's sad but true. It's just what it is. You know, it's not a sense of anger and frustration about it necessarily. It's just kind of taking it as what it is, with it just being I feel like you have to do music for a while before you get to a point where you understand the nuance required to sort of do these sort of things in a way which makes sense to the listener. We handled that well here. So I feel like the vocals were done effectively. In regards to the backing parts, the accompaniment, there was a sense of like nostalgia with the way those strings were done there, almost like it was going back to an earlier time there, maybe looking back on life sort of as more of a retrospective kind of thing. Just the tone of it had sort of a vintage kind of 70s and 80s tone to it as well, which I really appreciate. They sound beautiful. The vocal chops there almost sounded like a choir. They almost sounded a sense of innocence that was kind of maybe destroyed by the reality of the situation there. The bass and the drums coming in sort of add more sort of contemporary hip hop and rap feel to it, but in a way where it still kind of reminded me of a lot of the kind of 90s stuff as well. It was an interesting combination of elements there that I feel it was a really sort of special experience. It was a very easy to listen through track despite the intensity of it. And just in terms of the actual production, it's incredibly strong. The vocals, the actual quality of the vocal recordings with the mixing of the different instrumental layers and everything like that. And just the way it came down at the end with the dynamic range, with the layering of various parts, with the voiceover and use of samples and foley's and stuff like that sort of put forward. And then also the vocals at the end just by themselves being just as impactful as everything else. It's really great to return to this music. We have track number 8, Late Night Cruise with Killah Threat, F1 Mac, and Tierxhh.
Just to gather peace, I sort my thoughts in my excursion. Why do an 80 on the interstate to find my purpose? I dissect the devil in the details just to scratch the surface of how things can change in the snap when things are picture perfect. I feel calm when every cylinder runs it purrs. Within a 5-mile radius, keep from hitting the curve of enthusiasm. We're made from the carbon atom. Foot on the gas as I mass sliding with your madam. You cannot fathom in a tandem. I know God is watching.
I mean, the rhyme scheme is fantastic.
Anytime he talking, shining like my high beams, hitting the turning signal. The candy paint glisten, rims spinning like my mental. Don't change your mechanics. If you do, then it's incidental. The whip is wet, my chain is cold, my bag is elemental. I learn to cope and not be sentimental. Cause I'm the I am experimental. On faster, slower tempo.
I'm not sure if it's meant to be asymmetrical or not. It feels like there's more of like a resonance on the left side, but I could be tripping with the guitars there.
I be grooving when I'm moving, baby, label me a loner. Banging oldies out the vessel when I swing around the corner. Midwest nigga, but I'm blowing California, kicking flavor, chopping blades. I should work at Benihana. Did the foreigns in the winter and the Chevys in the summer. Feel like Ali, I'm the greatest when I rumble through the jungle. Tried to keep it humble, but I had to break them off. Peanut butter leather, baby, I don't do the cloth. Been the coldest since December, ever since I could remember. Chop a tree and turn it wood until my fingers catch the splinters. Master many flows, not a novice or beginner. Lot of power in the engine, polo horses peep the emblem. Socks match the bucket, stock rarely custom. Cop the drop off the lot, niggas plot, so I'm clutching. But I ain't trying to beef, I much rather keep the peace. Sipping good till I'm sleep, put Pirellis on the street, I am.
Interesting change in texture and timbre with the lady vocals here, not just for obvious reasons, but also I feel like they were recorded through a different microphone. There's a sense of breathiness inherent to this, which I think works well as a contrast, the more sort of like to the point, kind of like percussive parts of the rapping.
As an Aquarius, the one thing that I can honestly sit here and say that I'm grateful for is my superpower, and that's the ability to detach from anything or anybody. I give people way too many chances. Way too many chances. I want to see how far you're going to take it before you realize you damn near out the door. And I'm a Scorpio moon too. So when it comes to my emotions, I feel deeply. When it gets to a point where I have to detach from you, I'm going to detach like that. And you no longer exist to me. Aquarians, we view our relationships as sacred. We're very private people. We don't open up too often. So if it gets to a point where we become so comfortable and close to you that we open up to you and we're telling you our secrets and we're inviting you in our home, that is a privilege.
Beautiful. Beautiful message at the end. Okay, so I think that Late Night Cruise featuring Killah Threat, F1 Mac, and Tierxhh, I'm not sure how to pronounce that last one. I'm putting it as Killah Threat and F1 Mac with their own verses, and then maybe Tierxhh on the chorus parts there. I think this track is about simply going for a ride at nighttime, going for a drive around the place, just trying to clear your head, sort of dealing with maybe the situation with relationships, as mentioned at the end there with the Aquarius, like taking enough chances until they completely cut you off. I think that there is a really interesting sort of change and adjustment there. It's almost like we take what we had from Sad But True, and we're just trying to process it by going out for the ride, and it's different people's perspective on that ride. So I think that's cool. I think that's a really healthy way of dealing with that, actually. It sounds great. I think in terms of things I appreciate about the track, one is the sort of like the person per part there to segment the track and add a bit more sort of tonal variety within the leads within the piece. I think that having different rappers and different parts there for different perspectives, and even a different perspective in the chorus, is cool. I liked also the fact that we had the sung parts in the chorus there with a bit of a misty sort of ambient feel to it, almost like you can imagine yourself driving around at night, things not being super duper clear. It was almost like the main message of the different sort of verse parts sort of combined or sort of like shrunk down into a main message there to sort of like get the main hook line in. So I think that it's just smart in terms of both the fact that we can clearly sing. I like the breathiness and the body of the performance in that part there. I don't think the words need to be too clear in that, especially again as we contrast with the percussive elements of the actual rap sections from both Killah Threat and F1 Mac. And they both were distinctive within the mix, and I appreciate that as well, texturally and timbrally. It's also a fact of this track in general. The final thing I'll sort of mention is that it has this kind of starry feel to it because of the twinkle of the keys in that upper range. But so you can kind of imagine those in the night sky. You've got the sound of the Foley of the car driving and everything a bit later on, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But it's also the low-key feel of the bass parts there. The strings there are being very sort of gentle and therapeutic on the sides there. Some of the guitar parts with the sort of lo-fi hip-hop chords there, adding a bit of emotional complexity. And then the drums are really sort of subtle and almost quite gentle as well, despite the fact that they have a little bit of kick to them, just not too much. It's a great balance and awareness of what's required in order for the beat to match what's being discussed within the vocals. You don't want a super heavy track for something like this. It's a simple kind of like, well, not simple, but it's a very effective way of approaching. And I feel because of that all the different elements within this track were connected, and it works very well. We got What a Day, track number 9, featured with Killah Threat. I'm not necessarily sure if I like the claps. It's just more that I'm trying to figure out how they benefit the beat here, like why they're going sideways to center.
Waking up in the morning with gratitude, cause I know I can travel down avenues that can lead me to trouble. Then out the blue, I become a nigga with an attitude. So I make a move for the better as I write the strawberry letter, cause I know that birds of a feather can get more capital together. So I'ma stay tactical forever, cause I got 3 children depending on me. I tackle radical endeavors to understand the way I'm measuring most feats. The LA bad G with a goatee, staying 10 toes down, making go cheese. Never spend what you can't make pet peeve, and keep God on your side is the bestie. Hey man, don't drown in the idea, cause I'm wearing blue and gold like a IKEA. That pressure could make me fold like a tortilla, cause I stay with the sauce like a pizzeria. Forever I will be grateful, I will be thankful for this peace of mind. No matter what in this peace of mind, I will keep my needs in line. Keeping my nose clean for the future, chasing this money bag with the music. My schedule is intense, it's not human, never will I give my power to a loser. Alone, but keeping my head up. I am not lonely, I am just fed up from a situation of manipulation. Now back to the basics, gotta dodge a hater. Now back to the basics, pick up what I'm saying.
And great trade-off.
Now using my intuition, yep, I gotta move. Looking forward in myself, I gotta choose. In this moment, weapons want to give the blues. Moving on with psyche, will be bulletproof. Cause I notice they even through heartache and times of fatigue, you still have to be with the bag on the scene. The pressure is building, the diamond it gleams, and you have to readjust your crown as a king. Now you have to redirect your life into things to find a balance in the present and dream. To be a part of an immaculate team, just to master what spectacular means. I got the juice and then I superseded on my level, on my schedule, in my season. I'm a rebel on the pedal.
Great use of the sides.
It's not a secret, but I'm best kept. You cannot believe it if I misstep, so you better beat it with the nonsense. Cause I scramble chickens like an omelet. In all contexts, I do reps. On my chest, tries on my biceps. In this climate, you shine bright like a diamond. So one stops your conquest, do not stress. Just believe in a higher power. Pray and go manifest every hour. Make sure your moment is not a tower. And if it is, rest in the money shower. Cause the water keep turning with every dollar we collect to keep earning. It's psychological when looked as a burden, but it's more logical when using discernment.
I'm feeling high. My money's gone. I'm all alone. Too much to the world keeps turning. Oh, what a day. What a day, what a day, what a day, what a day.
There's like a vague beltry on the sides on the right there. That's a kind of interesting sort of... Ah, the fade out. I was wondering if we're going to have one of those. Okay, so What a Day, track number 9 off of this album. I think that it is about sort of discussing how things can just kind of completely just go off the rails. They can just be an absolute sort of mess or a dumpster fire, but the world will continue to to turn, and we just have to sort of just keep moving and keep doing our best. You know, we just say, what a day, you know, because what else can you do? I feel like that is something that a lot of people will be able to relate to, you know, just stuff just comes out of the blue and kind of sideswipes you sometimes, even if you've had the best day ever, and sometimes even when you're not. So just, you know, so that's what the track is about. And I feel like it's a really well-handled take from Killah Threat, in part due to the actual triplet flow throughout this. I think that it was just something we haven't had a lot of within this album so far, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a nice contrast to a lot of the straight 4/4 stuff we've had. Granted, we did go to 1, 2, it's like 16th notes, like in some parts there, which were clearly a bit quicker. And again, the words came through, the syllables were tight there. I dig it. Like, it's difficult to be able to rap like this. It's not an easy thing unless you have that kind of experience. So we've done well here, and I'm just thankful that we varied the rhythm of it as well to keep it more intriguing. I think it's also the expression within the lady vocalist in that chorus part would go, what a day, what a day. You kind of can imagine them actually saying that in real life. It's not just that we're trying to sing it. We're trying to feel it. We're trying to show people that we can kind of relate to that message that we're telling there. It's just those little bits of nuance and sort of icing, I suppose, on the cake that it makes it great. You know, the last thing you want is to feel like people are going through the motions. So I appreciate that not only we're getting a genuine performance from Killah Threat and their element, but we're also getting other sort of singers and vocalists involved with this that are feeling this too. It's not just it's not just enough to sing well nowadays and to be able to have good technique. You've also got to sort of like make it, you add a little bit extra kind of attitude and sort of sauce to it. And so, but I appreciate that it was also kind of subtle and sort of well played. It's exactly what you kind of need for this album, you know, like to go that a bit further. And I think finally, it's just the production quality of it. I like the fact that we had these trade-offs and that we did double takes of certain parts. We had vocal harmonies and sections and points where things kind of came off or sort of like lowered a little bit. You took the drums away. So these compositional production decisions there that helped to further amalgamate the different components, ingredients within these tracks in a way which made sort of like sense for the listening perspective, but also for the actual songwriting. And I think the individual components instrumentally that you had here niched well together, not just because they were placed well on the frequency spectrum of stereo field from like an actual like arrangement perspective, but because they were, you know, they had that actual kind of like treat in post. I suppose in terms of anything we could have potentially have improved, I'm just still not entirely sold on the way that those kind of claps would go backwards and forwards there. It seemed like we had a weird kind of resonance in the main part of the center of the stereo field. And it was a little bit distracting from what was going on with the vocals and stuff, but other and the main theme itself. But otherwise, very good. We have Too Strong though, track number 10 with Killah Threat and Pac Lawton.
Aquarius, you are a genius. See, when we think about Michael Jordan, he's an Aquarius. All the basketball players try to be like Mike. Aquarius is the person that creates something that people try to duplicate. And people love to hate.
You know a thoroughbred is way too strong. Trust in the process. Yeah. You know a thoroughbred is way too strong. County to projects. Yeah. You know a thoroughbred is way too strong. Just use your logic. Yeah. You know a thoroughbred is way too strong. New state of conscious. You know a thoroughbred is way too strong. When one storm ends, but another begins. As I elevate from the 3D to the 4D to sharpen my lens. You don't need the glasses to see when you're constantly betrayed. But moving forward, you violate those who play in your face. So you just mirror the energy while amplifying your excellence. Through testimony, you testify in New Testament. Revoking all competition, they just the excrement. Whoever dared to be on their side can reside in pestilence. Pay no never mind to who undermines your effectiveness. Throwing the evil out, they despise you, reaching your precipice. But as a king, you know nothing comes without hard work. Just body niggas and bury them, call them yard work. At the recession,
great wordplay there.
At the festival, scheme out how to get nasty. You just to come ride your testicles. The last of you as a come up, but they're gonna get done up based off the principles that you stand on. Do what otherwise, you know what's too strong. This is too long. Trust in the
and that trade-off was smooth.
Yeah, you know what thoroughbred is way too strong. County to projects. Yeah. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong. Just use your logic. Yeah. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong. New state of conscious. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong.
B1, B1, A2. I saw something about that on YouTube. Ain't they Hebrews? The prophets say they do things that other people just can't do. Then I listened to this track and that same prophecy came true. I'm a Libra, but that won't keep my scales balanced, and I have yet to learn astrologers acknowledge this challenge where you thoroughbred like a stallion, but they play you like a donkey, cause niggas showing they asses. Don't confuse me with them bastards. Been past these leeches and maggots, never had their own address. Don't even know the difference between a queen and a ratchet. I take great pleasure in saying they treasures my trash, yes. That go for you artists too, and some of y'all can rap, yes. But don't you dare let hip-hop fly out your trap yet. If you ain't did shit to help us out of the trap yet. Swag check, bag check. But before you do that mic check, don't forget about the struggle, nigga. You need to do a life check.
Is way too strong.
You need to do a life check. Damn.
In the process. Yeah. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong. County 2 projects. Yeah. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong. Just use your logic. Yeah. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong. New state of conscious. You know what thoroughbred is way too strong.
Aquarius are innovators. You see, an Aquarius can build a car because it's in their imagination. See, Uranus is home in Aquarius. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, which means Mercury is intelligent, aka Virgo and Gemini. But Uranus is on a whole different stratosphere of intelligence, aka Aquarius. That's the reason why Michael Jordan transformed basketball. Aquarius. And Kobe Bryant wanted to be just like Michael Jordan, who's a Virgo. Kobe is the Virgo. And he wanted to be like the Aquarius. Because Aquarius are innovators. When people don't know their positions, and you put Aquarius and Virgo in a room, they both are great at what they do, but the Aquarius has to be the mastermind.
This is fascinating.
Brain in the lab that everybody's in awe with. Oh my God, look at that mind. And then the Virgos come in and pick apart the mind so they can make it work.
Growing up, you must make a shift. Better know yourself and your strength.
Great use of vibrato there. And the filtered honky-tonk piano. Okay, so that was too strong. This is interesting. There's like multiple ideas going on within this track. So there's the spoken sort of sampled part discussing Aquarius with Michael Jordan and how they're the innovators and everything like that, because Uranus and how Kobe wanted to be like Michael Jordan and stuff, but he was a Virgo. I'm not super knowledgeable about the star sign stuff, but it sounds fascinating, and I mean that sincerely. I know there are people who like base a lot of their lives based on the star signs and everything like that, and it's kind of wild, man. But like, I dig it. I think it's cool that people are messing with that. I think it's cool. This track is also about sort of looking at yourself and sort of, they talk about like thoroughbred, you know, like strong as a thoroughbred, etc. And so I suppose maybe it's about like sort of self-confidence. It could also be a reference to like thoroughbred entertainment, because they are strong musicians, you know. It's about self-confidence in their craft and themselves as human beings. They talk it several times about having a life check and sort of like taking care of yourself. And I think that this is ultimately just a track about sort of knowing yourself, who you are, making the most of it, and sort of like exploring your possibilities as a human being. And I just think that's such a positive message. So I think one of the things I like about it is the actual how friendly the track is. It's done in a way where there is no sort of harshness. And even though there might be some parts of the lyrics where it's like a little bit sort of more, a little bit abrasive in some of the parts, but it's just, in terms of like what we're discussing, the actual like approach to it is very gentle and patient. It's just our personalities shine through here, and we're almost being a little bit introspective in like a kind way, if that makes sense. And I think it's not just that the story makes sense, it's that the rappers and the vocalists, because there's some clean vocals as well, are handling it. It's structurally, I think, having the different parts with the person talking about the Aquarius, before and then after the two different verses and choruses, with each person having their own sort of verse. I think that was strong because you have it split up, and then I think Killah Threat comes a bit later on with some double takes there, and just it's really interesting structurally. Makes the most out of 4 minutes 47 there, and you never know what you're going to get next. And I suppose finally, it's just the actual, the theme comes in clutch. It's similar to what we had with Late Night Cruise. We have a lot more of those kind of starry keys there, the bass and the drums being really sort of gentle, but it's also the actual percussion. I haven't really spoken about the drums. I like the flow and mix-ups of the different kick, snare, and hi-hat patterns. I also like the fact that the drums know when not to be there. It's not just that we know how to sort of handle percussion with an extended song like this, is that we also know that we need other things to float and to have their sort of own space in the ambience. We really have been handling the various instrumental elements well within this track, and I'm really happy with it. Because there's even a little bit of sort of delay on some of those kick or sort of hi-hat parts. It's almost like a misty ambience to it. That's not just a sort of a straight beat. It's like knowing how to treat it just to get that specificity with the sound there. It's more than just, it's advanced stuff, whilst also being textural and tonally consistent with a lot of the other elements on this album. So there's a great sense of connection there. So really good. We've got Just Like Old Times, track number 11.
Just like old time, I know my only competition is me. I struggle with spit in the face of defeat. Just like old time, I'm confident that I can keep it a G with my inner circle.
The strings sound like a celebration.
Just like old time, have faith in my grind and what I foresee, that one day I will be financially free. Just like old time, I never will give in, I'll never retreat. Just like old time, no matter how bad, I gotta believe. Just like old time, I remember every winter I'm walking frostbitten with screws missing. The atmosphere, it felt different, it smelled different. My view on life was wealth wishing, the scales tipping with my woe cause we jail different. Been about business since I knew how to get it. I do the money, snap money up per than do calisthenics. But I admit it took some time though, cause in the loo was primal. To be on fight or flight mode, depends on your survival. The title of being the brethren meant something. Looking the freshest when mediocrity meant nothing. With dedication, hard work, invest and get your paper back. Then keep it in a hardcover while reading a paperback. Messing up the church's money, I'ma play along.
What was that? The da-da-da-da-da? Was that like a xylophone or something like that? What was that? See these little kind of instrumental sort of drops there.
Don't make me show you where the thunder at. Cause even in times of trouble I learned to hustle. Congratulating those who struggle but solve the puzzle. Just like old time, I know my
it's a mixture of strings and a xylophone, I think.
Struggle but spit in the face of defeat. Just like old time, I'm confident that I can keep it a G with my inner circle and still keep the peace. Just like old time, have faith in my grind and what I foresee, that one day I will be financially free. Just like old time, I never will give in, I'll never retreat. Just like old time, no matter how bad, I gotta believe. Just like now as I walk through the valley, I levitate in the shadow of death. It's unorthodox, but I don't lose a step. Now
great twist on that.
Living off prayers from grandmama them. Going to Kasuth every Sunday, holding a Bible then. Numero UNOGOD, trust he dwells within. All through my physical, spiritual, from the start to end, I don't pretend. Cause he is my reason for my second win. From humble beginnings where you will welcome in violin. Judging off the energy, I know that some won't resonate. I'm from a place, if you agitate, then you violate. As a collective, we know God is good and God is great, but still lack the wisdom and the patience just to innovate. By his saving grace, I am straight where I can create in the space, having peace of mind every day. With this to say, you might have more money, more problems, but still keep the faith. Even though the weapons will form, they won't prosper, okay? Just like old time, I know my only competition.
Fantastic transfer with the bell trees.
In the face of defeat. Just like old time, I'm confident that I can keep it a G with my inner circle and still keep the peace. Just like old time, have faith in my grind and what I foresee, that one day I will be financially free. Just like old time, I never will give in, I'll never retreat. Just like old time, no matter how bad, I gotta believe. Just like old times.
ready for Aquarius season to really go in the way I want to go in, but I'm gonna give it to you brief. Aquarius are loyal as fuck. One of the most loyal signs of the zodiac. I don't know why you're comparing Cancers and Aquarius, but Aquarius are loyal until the wheels fall off. Aquarius will get out the car, chase the wheels down the street, get the wheels, get the duct tape, put the duct tape on the wheels, put the wheels back on the car, and keep driving that bitch, loyal into the soil, okay? Aquarius is still loyal to people who, they're not even in their life no more. They still loyal to people who did them wrong. Trust me, Aquarius are loyal as fuck.
Crazy. So that was Just Like Old Times from Killah Threat. Now, I think that this track is meant to sort of be discussing how we are going to get out of the situation we're in terms of not being where we necessarily want to be at with our life financially, or maybe in terms of like our career or like our living situation or whatever. It's just having the faith that things will go back to how they used to be in just like the old times. It also refers, I think, to just people stepping and just not sort of tolerating that and kind of maintaining that sense of sort of like self-confidence, but also establishing boundaries in a way which, like people take seriously. I like it. I think this track is one of my favorite off of the albums, not least because of the actual main theme itself. There is a sense of joy and wonderment and celebration from the string harmonies, from the little kind of like tuned percussion parts there. Just the way that the vocals sound so wonderfully fragrant with it. It's such a chill, gentle performance there where we go from a more subdued kind of like feeling because of the combination of the vocals and the backing and previous ones to this here, where it's almost like we're kind of calmly, gently celebrating in a really sort of like suave way, like what we're doing and where we're going. And I dig it. It was just pleasant to listen to because of the major leaning, but it was also simply because of the understanding of how to create that sort of environment for the music to sit in. It's the instrumental choices, like again, the way that we don't just have instruments on their own, we also allow things to sort of be in rhythmic unison together, like the strings and the tune percussion, like just the way the drums and the bass continue to push forward in a way which is more sort of like more expected for genre, but we incorporate a lot of sort of almost vintage elements there to tie it all together in a really wholesome, warm-hearted way. It really sells the story that we've got here without overdoing it in a way that it's just very sort of like they really know what they're doing. And then it's just structurally, you have more of Killah Threat's perspective, and then you have someone talking about how loyal Aquarius is. It's just the different, like I'm learning a lot about the star signs, especially Aquarius within this. It's almost like we're showing a loyalty to others, but also to life, and we're describing maybe our angle or action on that, like the fact that we're going to celebrate our ability to be innovators, to be loyal, etc. That we're going to celebrate the possibilities of what can exist in that age. And I like that as we go through this album. I'm probably going to talk about this in the sort of the conclusion at the end. Just I like that there is a sense of connection between these two, even though there are some things that are less desirable. We're almost trying to sort of like cope with those in a way that's balanced because we know that things will improve in the next season. So I think structurally as well, just having the woman sort of like speak over that with the chilled out theme in the background was smart. Just it wasn't overcomplicated harmonically. It's just a nice, relatively short and sweet track. Even at 4 minutes, that was effective. And then finally, we just have the Chronical, track number 12.
Hey, keep your guards up. Hey, get your grind right. And keep your soul clean. And keep your mind tight. Cause in my section within Bread, I am a playwright. Since back in the days when my cassettes, they wouldn't play right. In gladiator school, I was learning my stage presence. Leaving the essence of a brethren in convalescence. I am a student every day. I sit and take the lessons. As my inner self glow in this luminescence. That means I'm a star. My energy is Aquarian. I always move in silence. Quiet like a librarian. When you move with barbarians in a town that's barbaric, I manage behind the scenes. I don't entertain the hysterics. I just follow the bag. I try to avoid the baggage. Now I'ma stay with the mag. So it's either that or with maggots. Oh Lord, I've been this way since 4 years. I'm 4 scores, been top flight like on world tour. Boy, they want you to fall, they want you to fail. It's comical. They hate when you ball, they hate when you say. Not logical. They love when you down, but hate you prevail. Ironical. I'm fixing my crown, a king in detail. My chronicle. They want you to fall, they want you to fail. It's comical. They hate when you ball, they hate when you say. Not logical. logical. They love when you down, but hate you prevail. Ironical, I'm fixing my crown, a king in detail. My chronicle, I bring it back for the commentary. I ride on the comet throughout the stars, it's involuntary. We're moving at light speed, with flame on my Nikes as I'm passing through. When I depart, I leave smoke like I just barbecued. Vision was skewed, but it's clearer. I took a moment to interview the man in the mirror. He said, self, get it together. It's hard, but do not fold under pressure. However, if they want to test, then hand out refreshers. Judging by metrics, the grind ain't matching up. For any naysayer, just play your part and you'll pass them up. Big facts, you made special, but when you stand out, just keep that ego in check before you crash out. Cause there's no such thing as insurance on integrity. I know I'm preaching to the choir, because I know your pedigree. Just soak in what I'm telling you. Hey, I trust in what you telling me. I know the fake from the phony, and whatever they selling me, I ain't. They want you to fall, they want you to fail.
I think that he's speaking to himself within this, but he could also be talking to the listener, and I feel like either way, it's just a really pleasant listen.
They hate when you ball, they hate when you say not logical. They love when you down, but hate you prevail. Ironical, I'm fixing my crown, a king in detail. My chronicle, they want you to fall, they want you to fail. It's comical, they hate when you ball, they hate when you say not logical. They love when you down, but hate you prevail. Ironical, I'm fixing my crown, a king in detail. My chronicle.
And that's it. In and out.
You're going to be super rich. Save this audio. Type yes to affirm. This will only appear to special people. No hashtags below. It's for you.
Interesting there. Okay. So I think that this track, The Chronicle, the last song out of the 6 we're reviewing today, is about talking about the experience they've had in their time doing music with their career, coming up, and talking about sort of like the hypocrisies and ironies, of people who sort of like, they don't want you to succeed, but they celebrate your downfall. It's talking about, so their experiences with other people. It's their own sort of being a student, learning as they go through, following the bag, but not wanting the baggage. And they're sort of also giving a bit of advice, I suppose, in certain parts later on, maybe from their experience of doing your best to stand out and the best you can, but also keeping your ego in check so that you don't crash out. And it's just, I think it's their journey as a musician, and maybe words of advice to other people who are going on their own story, like telling their story so that we can learn from it, but also opening more up about their experience as an Aquarian. And I'm glad to hear them succeeding. I think this is actually the most listened to track on the album, so that's awesome. In terms of stuff I like about this track, I appreciate that we were straight to the point. We didn't really hesitate. There were some drum parts at the start, and then simply we got into the flow of it. We allowed ourselves to sort of elaborate further on the piece. We immediately get into context, but then we sort of summarize that in a hook line. And for a 2-minute 56 track, that's incredibly important. At this stage of the album, you've already listened through a lot of what's here, and it's sort of like instrumentally similar in a lot of ways and vocally similar in a lot of ways. But I can understand this works as a single. It's just, there's lots of different layers to it. But there's no filler structurally at all. And I appreciate that bit at the end as well. We have, and a lot of these tracks we've had like maybe a sample at the end of like a person speaking about like the gun crime, or we've had sort of actual things about sort of being an Aquarius and the Age of Aquarius, etc. Like the message about being super rich at the end. I'm not entirely sure what that's in reference to, themselves working towards getting that message, or maybe they got a message from someone else. Maybe this is like a message of affirmation to the listener. I'm not sure, but either way, or maybe that's something sort of very important to them. But either way, it's just, it's unexpected and adds sort of interest to it, intrigue. At this stage, a lot of the comments I want to make about this track are similar to previous ones, so I risk repeating myself. But I think it was better for Killah Threat to be on their own for this one, simply to give their own perspective on their own story, their own chronicle, and I dig that. I just think that's really all I have to say about that specific point. It's just, I feel like if you had another, like a collab, like someone else sort of on the beat as well, it might have just been a little bit too complicated, because then it's like, okay, but this is their story because it's their album, and now we're getting 2 different stories. So it's good we had the one. And this just sounds professional to me. Like there's nothing that I feel would need to be fixed. It sounds like it's been recorded and produced and mixed and mastered by people who really know what they're doing. And there's absolutely no issues with limiting, EQing, filtering, or anything like that. It's really well done. Really well done. Great use of Foley samples and everything else is balanced. But welcome to the conclusion of my review of these tracks 7 to 12 off of the Age of Aquarius album from Killah Threat. Now, just before we go into it, as a final reminder, I have already reviewed tracks 1 to 6, and I have given my thoughts on those specific tracks in that review. I'm going to be giving my overall thoughts on tracks 7 to 12 within this video, but I also want to mention that each track has its own sort of mini conclusion. So these will be overall on what we've heard so far today. And so just to sort of summarize, I suppose, I think the vocals, one of the things I appreciated about this album in general, at least this half of it, is the quality of the vocal performances, whether they were Killah Threat by themselves or whether it was Guiliani, F1 Mac, Tierxhh, Pac Lawton. You know, there was no point where I listened to this and went, why is that sort of rapper or singer there? You know, like, why are they adding to this? It all felt like it had context necessarily within the story. There were times where Killah Threat was on their own for the Chronicle, for example, and I also felt them being by themselves was appropriate because it was their album and therefore more sort of centralized. I think the clean vocals with even some vibrato occasionally, but like the harmonies were exquisite, and I appreciate the parts on What a Day as well as with Tierxhh, if I'm not mistaken, a Late Night Cruise that were really well balanced and just really fragrant and kind of like a breathy thing that really made sense. There was just general comments about like the continued sort of quality of the flow with like 16ths and triplets and stuff like that made sense across it with adequate sort of expression there. It's well done. The rapping on this track this album in general is really solid. Really happy with it. It's also the combination of different instruments, such as the various sort of like string sections that were very prominent within this, adding a sort of a vintage kind of glow to it, sort of either being sort of chordal based or with melodies that messed around with the various sort of like either the main sort of major and minor triads or the extensions within those. Lastly, with the bass underneath, typically an electric bass. I haven't really spoken about bass within this, but I feel like it was really well handled and didn't just play the root notes. It was also following around with the various sort of like scales and modes there and explored a little bit. And again, it had that sort of like vintage kind of feel to it that I really appreciated. Kind of reminded me of some light stuff from the 90s as well as some of the 70s and 80s stuff. With the drums typically being a good, I think there was one part where I wasn't necessarily sure about the clap position in the mix, but that was still fine. It was just a positioning thing and a resonance thing in the mid range, and that's literally the only kind of unsure part I had throughout the entirety of this album. And yeah, any key or guitar parts or anything additional to that, even like some of like the melodic percussion, like the xylophone kind of stuff, or like there was lots of really fun little sub layers as well as main parts there. Typically the themes matched either the more sort of jovial theme of like the late tracks like Too Strong and just like and the Chronicle, like there was some more uplifting stuff later on with of course Late Night Cruise and sort of like Saboteur and What a Day being a bit more sort of like low key. And I think that we understood how to sort of navigate the nuance required emotionally and harmonically to be able to make those work within those bits. So that was really good. So ultimately, I feel like that the extra instrumentation was well balanced, and then just the production, being able to put not only the vocal parts in with the various sort of different instruments, but also add those sort of samples, sort of like spoken parts, either about the gun crime or about the Aquarius direct sort of like star sign relevant stuff there at the end, and the different ways and forms it did. It was just really cool, and it wasn't predictable where they were placed either. But just in terms of the production, the EQing, filtering, the leveling. Dynamic range of it as well as some fade outs and such, panning of instruments, and just as nice and low without pumping. Like these are it's a positive review of the second half. It's a strong album, and I'm glad I've had the chance to listen to more of it. So thank you for watching my review of this album. The part 2 of it, tracks 7 to 10, this album titled Age of Aquarius from Killah Threat, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than ever. Thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.